Hey everyone, Vernon B. Williams the here. Hope you are enjoying the conference. The conferences have always been one of my favorite things about the job. It's where I've learned the most. And every time I implement it, I always got instant results. You want the best return on your investment, then implement what you learn. This is what I say at the beginning of my talks. What you want to do is you want to plan time in your schedule within 48 hours after the event and plan 1 to 3 hours of when you are going to go back to your notes and you're going to highlight the 1 to 3 things that you're going to implement right away. That way you don't end up like me and having journals and documents full of notes that you are never going to look at again. Okay, so what we know is that knowledge isn't power. The implementation and action of knowledge is power. So plan time and implement. So I'm here to talk to you about one of my favorite things, selling signatures and ultimate sets. All right. I'm sure that you would love to sell more signatures and ultimate sets and more homemaker sets, right? Of course. That's why we're here, to learn. So let's just dive right in. So why sell bigger sets? Well, first of all, more CPO for you, which means more money in your pocket. Who wants more money in the pocket? Of course, put in the chat. Hallelujah, I do. That's me right here, okay? More CPO, more money in your pocket. And most importantly, well, actually not most importantly, but another thing that is important though, is more belief in yourself. When you start selling bigger sets, you start to believe more in yourself, like, wow, I can do this job. People do buy sets. I can do this thing. And trust me, just have your managers tell you about my story, all right? Like, I did not have a fast start, okay? So have your managers tell you the story of Vernon B. Williams to fit. And all of you, I can nearly guarantee you are on a much faster track than I was, okay? These next two are the most important things. More Cutco for your customers. The more Cutco someone has, the better their cooking experience is. All right, I want you to raise your hand, put in your chat, put like a high five emoji if you agree with that. The more Cutco someone has, the better their cooking experience is. So good. So first and foremost, the first key in just selling more Cutco, be a human first. You are a human being before you are a salesperson. Be there for the customer. The first few minutes when you're talking to them on your virtual demos, you're meeting with customers, get to know them. That's why it's in the manual, build rapport. One thing with rapport just isn't a 10-minute thing and then you go on to the next thing. You are always in rapport. As a matter of fact, rapport starts on the phone. When you book the appointment, that is when rapport starts. And you are always in rapport. You don't have to, here's what I tell you about rapport. Please do not ask just base surface level questions of like, how's the weather today? Like, how's your dog? Whatever, right? Like, ask meaningful questions like, how are you doing today? How's your day going so far? If you know them and you know their kids, like, hey, how's Johnny's schooling doing? Right? What's been, how has this whole last year been for you all? Is there anything I can do to help support or pray for you? If there is, please let me know. Be a human being first. As you start to talk about the knives, ask them questions like, hey, just curious, obviously we're going to talk about Cutco and some of our knives, but tell me about the knives you have at home right now. How long have you had them for? How do you like them? How do you like your pots and pans at home? Right? How would you rate your cooking experience in the kitchen right now? How is it when you're chopping up carrots? How is it when you're cutting through your meats? What is that like for you right now? And if you could have the highest level of, or like if you could have the best cooking experience in your kitchen, what would that look like? Ask them great questions like that. Like, awesome. Well, I think you're going to like Cutco because I believe all those things you described could actually happen with some Cutco in your kitchen. Be a human first before you're a salesperson. All right. So you get excited, you sell what you get excited about. So if you are selling a lot of homies or starter sets or pieces, like who loves those spatula spreaders? Who loves that trimmer? Yeah, you probably sell a lot of those because that's all you talk about. Like, hey, Mr. Jones, this set is great, but man, this spatula spreader, let me tell you, I think I have one here. Actually, no, yeah. So, Miss Jones, but what I tell you, this spatula spreader, man, let me tell you, this thing is amazing. Okay. And you probably saw a lot of essential sets because you get excited about essential sets. Speaking of essential sets, please stop selling them. The essential set, I love Cutco. The essential set is probably the worst set that we have. Okay. Why? The most essential piece that we probably make is not in the essential set. There's no trimmer. Where's the trimmer? Why would you make a set without a trimmer? Don't sell essential sets, okay? Please do not. Don't sell essential sets. All right. Okay. I would rather you sell a studio set than you sell an essential set. Okay. Okay. So moving on. Get excited about selling ultimates and signatures and get excited about the pieces in those sets. Seth Kinzer said a couple years ago, the thing that reps get wrong is they talk about ultimates to sell signatures and homemakers, or they'll talk about signatures to sell homemakers and galleys. Don't do that. Talk about ultimates to sell ultimates. Talk about signatures to sell signatures. These sets are amazing. The ultimate is the best set that we have. It's the only set with a raw meat knife. It's the only set with a cleaver to cut through your frozen foods, right? It's the only set with the bigger paring knife that they could use on the cutting board. It's the only set with a full set of 12 steak knives. Like, the thing is amazing. Okay. So we're going to dive right into how to sell, what I talk about. And before we do that, I always like to show off my customers. If you've seen me talk over the years, I love to show them off. This is John and Michelle, and these are just some great people that just love their family sets. Okay, I just saw these two a couple of weeks ago. Always cool to catch up with them. Look at all this. Look at all this. The smiles with the family sets. Right. Look at that. Beautiful people with the signatures. And then, of course, we got happy people with the complete set. Funny story with this guy. So this was a few years ago when I was working at a county fair, and these kids were coming up, and I cut them. I cut the penny for them, and I said, "All right, so all you have to do, just do me a favor, just go show this to your parents and say, hey, mom, dad, I want to show you the person that did this. The couple guy did this." Okay. And this girl actually came back with her dad, and the dad said, "You're the one that cut this penny?" I was like, "Yep." He's like, "Show me what you got." And turns out that he had a kitchen fire, and through his insurance money, he wanted to replace a set of knives and forks and spoons. So that's what he did. So because I cut one penny, I sold an ultimate with flatware. That was pretty awesome. This is Michelle. This is another funny story. So if you heard me speak before, you've heard me talking about gassing up Mrs. Jones, okay? This is a classic example. So she's been waiting to get Cutco. She's always wanted Cutco. She was looking at the big set. She's like, I don't know, I got to talk to my husband. And somehow when we were talking, she let me know that her husband, does a lot of hunting or four-wheeling or something like that. And I'm going through like how much money he spent on those things. And then I said something along the lines of, so Michelle, let me get this straight. You let your husband spend thousands of dollars on toys and hobbies that he doesn't have to do, but you're not going to bless yourself with a quality set of knives that you're going to use every day to cook his food for him? How does that make sense? And she's like, you know what, Vernon? You're right. I'm going to get this set. I'm like, heck yeah, Mrs. Jones, let's go. Let's go. Get your set. Right? So sometimes you need to just gas up Mrs. Jones. All right. She deserves it. They all deserve it. All right. So these are other great customers with their ultimate sets. You see the ultimate flatware. Yes, I guess even 49er fans, can buy Cutco. I think I charge them a little bit more. If they're Bears fans, man, I basically charge them retail price. I'm like, you're paying retail for this because you're a Bears fan, and the Bears suck. Anyway, so and then what's even better than ultimate sets? Cutco kitchens. Man, selling a Cutco kitchen is just amazing. I don't know why their daughter here looks so upset. I even cut her a penny fire. Like, what's up with that? So selling Cutco kitchens is amazing. All right, so here's the complete set. Now, how I talk about the sets is I talk about it in story form, and I don't go through like all 30 some pieces. Okay. Now you have this page. If you do, depending on your virtual demo, you probably have this layout here. So what I do is I say, Mrs. Jones, I'm just going to show you our 3 most popular sets. And then at the end, you can tell me which one you feel would be best for you. Cool. Awesome. So Mrs. Jones, this is our complete set. This is the set that everybody wants. but not always can afford, but it's definitely a set that everybody works up to. Okay, and this is true. I just had a customer on Monday. She called me. She's like, "Hey, I want a smaller chef knife." She has a galley, and I said, you could definitely get that. You could get a sheath for it. It won't fit in your block though, so you may want to consider our upgrade program. So got her and her husband on the phone. About an hour later, they upgraded to the complete set, and they're super happy. Okay, so Mr. Jones, I'll show you some of the key pieces in our complete set. And what I'll do if I'm doing a virtual appointment with them, I'll just play this video right here, which is pretty awesome. Let's see if I can just turn this on just a little bit. So, Mr. Jones, one of the things that you get in here, you get our cheese knife, which is great for cheeses, potatoes, tomatoes, smaller onions. It's actually the sharpest knife that we have, and the holes make it so that food doesn't stick to it. It's amazing. Okay, do you guys ever cut those things? Yeah, it's great. Right? Then you get the Hardy slicer, the big utility knife. This thing is amazing for your summer sausage, your sweet potatoes, partially frozen foods. Like, I love this thing. Look at that. Right through. It's really awesome, Mr. Jones. It's a nice, heavier, smaller piece that I know you and your husband will really like. And then you get the petite santoku, the everyday chopper. This one is in our family set, Mr. Jones. It doesn't come in our complete set, but some people usually add it on so that they also have it. So it's great for your onesies and twosies. Yeah, pretty awesome, Mr. Jones. Look at that cute little guy. All right, now this is the hidden gem that's in the complete set.
This is so sharp.
So look at this. You cut through watermelons, right? Just check this out. You can literally slice it right through.
And then we can just take it.
Then you slice it into the wedges. Then I'll just fast forward a little bit. Now here's the best part, Mr. Jones. Watch this. Look at that. Just make sure you switch your hand over. How cool is that, Mr. Jones? It's pretty sweet, right? Do it again with the cantaloupe. Just fast forward a little bit. Fillet right through it, Mr. Jones. Just imagine every year for the next 20, 30, 40 years, that's how you cut through your melons. This is our vegetable cleaver, Mr. Jones. Squash is usually really tough to cut, right? Check this out.
So the first step to cutting this.
So what you can do, and I'll probably even just mute this if I can. So I'll cut off the end with it. And now, what's really cool with the vegetable knife, you can use the whole blade as leverage to just push straight down on your squash. Now you cut your squash in seconds. And that's also great for your hard root vegetables like rutabaga and sweet potatoes. Then the other cool piece in the complete set is our raw meat knife. You guys cut raw meats at home? Yeah, for sure. So you know that trimmer that I showed you earlier? That's what people used to use, but this one is even better. Check this out. Now for this one, and I'll make sure to email these videos out so all of you will have it. But what you want to do is fast forward it to about right here. Actually, a little bit further. Okay, right here. Okay, so we did a side-by-side test with the trimmer and the basic set and the boning knife. So you see it took the trimmer. That's about 21 cuts back and forth, 21, 22. Now check this out. 1, 2. How amazing is that? Mr. Jones, that's what happens when you have all the right tools for all the right jobs. And then a key line that I say is that, and it really is just as easy as it looks. Okay, so then I'll go back to this page right here. And then what I love about the virtual demo, you have this little pointer right here, right? So Mr. Jones, again, so that was the cheese knife here, the boning knife, your salmon or thin slicer, as I like to call it, the vegetable knife, that big utility knife. Now this cleaver right here, Mr. Jones, so you know how sometimes you can forget to thaw out chicken or summer sausage? Yeah, that's what you use this for. Okay, you're definitely not going to use it every day, but when you need it, you're going to be really glad that you have it. This is the bad boy in your set, right? And then I talk about a story of how Mandy, my wife, wanted me to put a crock pot from the freezer or a piece of roast from the freezer in a crock pot, and it was too big for the crock pot. So I was like, yes, I can use my cleaver now. So I used that and cut that bad boy in half and put the two halves in a crock pot. And that was the last time I used it, Mrs. Jones. But hey, when I need this, I'm really glad that I have it. Okay. Then you know how you could probably tell that the paring knife and the basic set is too small to use on the cutting board. That's why we have the bigger one. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, right? Yeah, for sure. So that is our complete set. And then, Mrs. Jones, this is our in-between set. We like to call it the family set. So this is for people that want the complete set, but maybe it's just a little bit out of their budget. So it still gives you all the basic pieces in the basic homemaker set, and then just some of the highlights of the complete set. So you still get that awesome big utility knife, or the barbecue knife, as I like to call it. You get the smaller chef knife in here, which complements the bigger one. And you still get that cheese knife, which everyone loves. And of course, the shear. Do you remember the shears? And when I cut the penny, this is fantastic. So the family set is the in-betweener set. And then I'll play this video again. So again, Mrs. Jones, you get that non-stick knife here, cheeses, potatoes, tomatoes, smaller onions. Then you then fast forward, then you get the barbecue knife, as I like to call it. So again, summer sausage, pineapples, sweet potatoes, anything on the grill, briskets, tri-tips, flank steaks. Really nice knife there. You get the smaller utility knife, or the smaller chopping knife, which complements the bigger one that's in the basic set, which is great. And the world-renowned super shears, right? These things are fantastic. So you can use them in the kitchen and around the house, literally for anything and everything. Comes apart for easy cleaning. So that's what comes in the basics, in the family set. And of course, you got the basic set. Okay. And if you're a virtual demo, all it has is just a picture of like the box. That's fine too, because obviously they saw all the ones, like all the pieces that come in earlier. All right. Now, when you get comfortable with this newer approach, you can talk to your managers when instead of going through all the homemaker pieces, this is all that you say, right? But talk to your managers first before you get to that point. Because when I get to this point, all I say is, and then you have your basic set, right? So you got your eight standard knives, your 2 forks, and 8 table knives. Then I ask this question. So, Mrs. Jones, knowing that you're going to have Cutco for the rest of your life, you never have to buy knives again. Which set do you feel will bring you the most value for what you do in your kitchen for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Would it be this basic set here? Would it be the family set? Or would it be the complete set? What do you think, Mrs. Jones? Okay, so that right there is what's called the options close. That's what all of us CSPs do when we work our bigger events, or even when I'm doing virtual demos. That's what's called the options close. When I show all 3 sets, and I simply ask them which set would be best for them, and then I let them choose, and that's the one that I close on. So here are 5 keys to selling signatures and ultimates. First key, product knowledge. You notice that I knew everything that all the knives do. Of course, the videos help, but I can spit fire like what any knife does at any time. So do you know all the products, all the knives in the set and what they do? Second, you need to have belief and confidence to know that people, one, do buy signatures and ultimates, and that it's worth the money. Okay, so the ultimate is about $3 grand, right? What else could Mr. and Mrs. Jones invest their money in that's American made? They're going to use every single day for the rest of their life. They're supporting a small business owner. They can pass on to their kids, and they never have to pay for it again. I'll wait. Exactly. Cutco is more than worth it. We should be selling it for higher, for more. It should be more expensive, and people would still buy it. So ask those quality questions that I mentioned in the beginning, where you're asking them, how are your knives? How are your knives currently? How long have you had them? How do you like them? You hate them. Why do you hate them? Oh, they're super dull. Man, that can't be fun. How long have they been dull for? Wow. How many times have you had to replace your knives? Wait, so you've had it for 10 years and you've had to replace them like 5 times? Man, that's crazy. Wait, so you've dealt with the same dull set for 20 years? Wow. I can imagine that cooking in the kitchen is fun right now. Well, just curious, what would it be like if you had a quality set of knives that stays sharp for you every day for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and you never had to buy knives again? What would that be like? Be amazing, right? Well, honestly, that's why I'm excited to show you Cutco, right? Do what's best for the customer. And that's where we get into dropping down, which we'll talk about a little bit here, right? And that's why we do the options close, because we want them to choose what they feel is best, not what I think is best for them. Which I do give my opinion and say, well, I think this one could be a little bit better if you do raw meats, but at the end of the day, this is your set. And of course, have fun. That's literally all I do. I'm literally just chopping it up with Mr. and Mrs. Jones, cracking jokes, making them laugh and smile, having a good time. Have a lot of fun with your customers. We're selling knives, we're not doing rocket science. Okay. So here's some tips with service first when closing. So we talked about the options close. So let's say if they pick the homemaker set, what I'm doing is I'm showing them the difference between the signature and the homemaker and asking them again. So let's say they pick the homemaker. I'm like, awesome. Now, just want to make sure, okay, the only difference between the homemaker and the signature are these 4 pieces, right? So that, the hearty slicer, the smaller chopping knife, the cheese knife, and the shears. So on top of the basic set, would you also use these 4 pieces or is the homemaker set like perfect, just fine? Right? So I'm still not like hard closing on the signature family set, but I'm just making sure that they are truly getting the best set for them. If they choose a signature set, then what I say is great. Now, are there any pieces in the complete set that you would also use? Like the boning knife for raw meats or vegetable knife for your squash, anything like that? Or is everything that comes in the family set perfect? Okay, great. Right? And then what I do when I'm showing after I show the price, I pause a little bit and I review everything that's in their set. So I'm just spitfiring. So if they say the complete set, I'm just saying cool. So you get a big and smaller paring knife. You get a trimmer for your tomatoes. You get a spatula for your sandwiches, a cooked piece knife, a raw meat knife, blah 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 blah. Right? I'm just rapid fire going through it. Now here's amazing. Seth Kinzer taught me this a couple years ago. When customers buy a set of Cutco, they don't know that they're getting cutting boards with it. Did you even know that? So if they buy a homemaker set, they get a medium cutting board and a sharpener. And if they buy a signature or an ultimate set, they get all 3 sizes of the cutting boards and a sharpener. So what I tell them is, cool, so you're getting all these pieces, obviously the block to hold all of them, your 8, 10, or 12 steak knives, table knives. Then what we do is we also include our forever boards. These are amazing, Mr. Jones. Literally, they're the last cutting boards you'll ever need to buy. When they get super scratched up and ugly looking, instead of throwing them away like all your other cutting boards, you just send it in and we give you brand new cutting boards for free forever. So you can literally get rid of all of your cutting boards and just have these. And then this sharpener, Mrs. Jones, is for your straight edges. So let's say after a couple of years, you just need to touch up your paring knife or a chef knife. Instead of sending them in and being without them for a couple of weeks, just touch them up on here. Right? Now, what I say, because I'm trained on sharpening Cutco, and if you are too, this is what you can say. Mrs. Jones, when corporate trains us on sharpening Cutco knives, that sharpener is what they train us on. So that thing is amazing. When you run it through on a 45-degree angle, you're actually putting a newer edge on it. Right? So if they get all 3 cutting boards and a sharpener, so Mrs. Jones, this is a $130 value that we're giving you for free with the set to protect your investment. If it's a homemaker set, Mrs. Jones, this is a $70 kit that we're giving you for free to protect your investment. Okay, so that's how I'm basically closing on that. And then I'm also asking them, just quickly going back to this. So I just want to double check, Mrs. Jones. So if this was your set, can you see how over the next 20, 30, 40 years, you'd use all the pieces in this set? And if they say yes, awesome. I'm moving on to continue to close it, right? I'm usually asking them, cool. What's really cool is you can pick your color, right? You could do dark, you could do white. If it's a homemaker, you can do red. What color do you like? Awesome. You can also do a lighter honey or darker cherry for the block. What would you do? Great. If you were to do it, would you do it in the full? Would you split it up? Awesome. Right? Would that fit in the budget? Cool. Should we go ahead and get that for you today? Right? Those are some quick, like advanced super fire tips on how to close, right? But talk to your managers first. Obviously, the manual is amazing and perfect. When you're ready for the next step, talk to your assistant managers and your district managers. All right. So obviously not everybody is going to buy the Ultimate, the Signature, or the Homemaker set. So we do what's called dropping down. And this is all in the manual, which is perfect. You want to get that down right away. As a matter of fact, before you start implementing some of these one-liners, you want to make sure that you do 3 things with your manual. You want to memorize your manual. Yes, memorize it. Memorize your manual, internalize it, then you can personalize it. Okay? Until your manager can call you at 3 in the morning and say, give me the demo right now. And you can do it perfectly without any errors. You should not be implementing a bunch of these one-liners. Maybe 1 or 2 at a time, but definitely not all of them. Your demo will blow up and not in a good way. Okay, so I'm going to give you some advanced tips to show you a different way to drop down, but you can only do this after talking to your manager, all right? So what us CSPs do is we do something that's called like, we sell off the set that we're on and we build up the set that we're dropping down to, right? So, and it's all based off kind of how our customers react. So let's say they pick the Ultimate, right? You tell them the price, and if they say, oh, that's way too much, right? The set that I dropped down to might be a little bit different versus if they say, well, that's a great set, but it's just a little more than what I want to spend. Okay. So they're slightly different. So if it's, you know, you always want to agree with them, right? We do what's called a feel, felt, found, which is essentially, hey, I totally get what you feel, or I totally understand what you mean. A lot of my customers know exactly how you feel, Mr. Jones. Like, you know, they felt that like the Ultimate, the Signature, whatever, was a great set. They know that they need good knives, but they just felt like it was just a little bit out of their price range. So what they found was that they knew that some good Cutco in their kitchen was better than none at all, right? Because they knew that a sharp knife or a dull knife is much more dangerous than a sharp one, and they could still get rid of all their dull knives at home. Does that make sense, Mr. Jones? Awesome. So, so what I like to do is show you an option that they went with that I think you'd really like. Is that okay? Perfect. And then what I'll do, then I'll drop down, right? So if their reaction was that's a great set, but it's a little more than what I want to spend, then I'm just going down to the Signature. So then what I'll do, I'll go back to the picture of the whole complete set. I'll take my little cursor here and I'll highlight all the complete pieces, right? So not everything that's in the Signature, just the Ultimate. And I say, so out of these pieces in the complete set, what are the 1 or 2 that you would use the most? I'll have them pick it out, and then you can just add it to the price of the Signature set. So when you quote out the Signature set, basically what I say is great. So honestly, what my customers in your same situation have done is they've gotten the family set. And here's why. Like the cleaver is great, you know, smaller bread knife is awesome, a bigger paring knife is cool, but you know, you're probably not going to use all of them right away, right? Yeah, of course. They'll be great when you eventually get them. But as far as like right away, you know, you're probably not going to use them a whole lot. So what my customers has done is just get the family set and just add on a couple pieces they would use the most. So when you do that, right, figure out the price, put in your Cutco orders app, then the price is only this, which is only X over 5 months, which is way less than what the complete set is. And then that way you just get exactly what you want, right? It's much more budget friendly. You get exactly what you want, and you can still get rid of all your knives at home. Do you feel this would be a better option for you? Right? And that's literally the same thing from the Ultimate to the Homemaker, except what I do is, and this is when people say, oh, that's just way too much, right? I'm like, cool, no worries. Like, and trust me, Mr. Jones, that's kind of like a lot of people's reaction. Honestly, like the pieces in the complete set are great, but let's be real. Like, you're probably not going to use a cleaver, a smaller bread knife, like a paring knife, and that salmon knife too often, right? Like if you eventually get it, it will be great. But if I'm going to be honest with you, Mrs. Jones, this basic set here, you can essentially do everything in the kitchen with all the pieces in the basic set, right? The pieces in the Ultimate set just help some of those jobs even go a little bit better. Okay, that way you start off with the basic set. It's only $13.26, so it's less than half the price of the Ultimate. And over the 5 months, it's only this. So a lot more feasible. You can still get rid of all the knives in your set, or you can get rid of all the dull knives at home, finally have a quality set of Cutco. Is that something that would be a little more feasible to you? So that's just a little bit better than cool. Well, your next option is this, your next option is that, your next option is this, just because sometimes that can have more of like a negative connotation of like, well, if I keep going down, I'm getting a worse and worse set. So that's why no matter what, if you are building up the set you're dropping down to, it really makes that set feel very, very special and amazing to them. Okay. And then the 5 pieces, what that wish list part is. Cool, Mr. Jones. Hey, out of all the pieces in this set, what are the five pieces you'd use the most? And that approach is in the manual, right? Right. Cuckoos falling from the sky, handles first, whatever. Like, what are the first 5 that you would get? Would you put it in a tray or a block? Would you want a set of table knives with it, or would you want it with a pair of shears? All right. Then the last thing, talk about customizing. Sometimes people do this, sometimes don't. Talk to your managers. I only customize when it's a final resort. And if we're on, say, like a homemaker set, and I can just feel with my intuition, right, my gut, that they really want the homemaker set, there's just maybe like a 1 or 2 pieces that they wouldn't use. Okay. Now, what a lot of people do is they'll customize it for free, right? So basically putting in some of the pieces from the signature and ultimate for the same price as a homemaker set. I used to do that too, but now I don't. So when we get on the subject of customizing, I say, yeah, so you can definitely swap out some of those. We can customize it for you. Now, I'm sure you know that whenever you customize basically anything in life, it's usually more expensive, right? Same thing with Cutco. So I've had people customize a set, and they felt really good with spending more money if it meant they got exactly what they wanted. And every time I say that phrase, they always agree, like, yep, that makes a lot of sense. So I'll sell a customized homemaker set for $1,500 just depending on what they customize. And they feel really good about it. They're not like, well, why can't you do it for the same price, blah, 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 because I told them, right? A lot of people feel really good about spending more money on a customized set if it means they get exactly what they want. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? And then, we'll still give them gadgets for free, shears, whatever. So that's how I customize it. Okay. So guys, that's my time. I hope you got a lot of fire nuggets here. And I do have a bonus gift I'm going to give you. All these one-liners and the approach that I already have laid out, typed out in a handout just for you, good old Central Region. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email it to the lovely staff of the Central Region, and they're going to email it out to your division and district managers. And that way you can start to memorize it, internalize it, personalize it. And when you memorize your manual first, you get really, really good at the basics first. Then you can start to implement these one-liners and newer concepts. Okay. So I hope you got a lot of good nuggets from this. If you have questions, reach out to your managers. They can reach out to me. And hope you guys have a great rest of your conference and continue to make it a sharp day.